Thank you for joining us for the 2019 Field of Honor, a tribute to service above self presented by the Georgetown Rotary Club. This is a live stream of the event. There will be a flyover at 1:45 p.m. The official event starts at 2 p.m. for the opening ceremonies. Again, thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoy these opening ceremonies of the 2019 Field of Honor.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to draw your attention already to one of the first events of the day. You'll watch a flyover in a few moments, a flyover of the Devil Dog. The Devil Dog is a World War II aircraft, a B-25 maintained out at our airport now by the Devil Dog Squadron, right, Scott? The Devil Dog?
Yeah, and at the Pilot's Choice Aviation Hangar.
And at the Pilot's Choice Aviation Hangar. For all of you to be aware, as they begin to make 3 passovers, we'll all have a chance to wave to them. Those that might be under the tent, you ought to come out and watch. After those 3 flyovers have been finished, the Patriot Guard will put together a display of flags when they get off of their motorcycles. Following that, there will be a parade of flags down the center of the aisle, and from where I'm standing, the aisle needs to be cleared another 15 to 20 feet on each side. So we'd ask that you begin to move out of this center aisle as we wait for the flyover of the B-25. The sound is unique. Carefully watch and listen. It is really great that this is working.
They can go out to Pilot's Choice and see it anytime up close.
And of course, the B-25 is on display out at the airport with Pilot's Choice. I've already announced that once, and I'm going to keep announcing it.
Okay,
And I've done it once. Yep.
So is Colonel.
I've already moved them once. Thank you for observing the line to leave the parade field open. We appreciate that. Your cooperation is great. So continue, yes, these 2 lines, Dennis, the line where those folks are and that line.
I need to know what I'm going to say.
And if it's not the welcome, we need to change the remarks. Who wrote the script?
Colonel Wright. Lieutenant Colonel Jim Wright. This is the Georgetown High School Band playing for our benefit. Please enjoy them. We'll acknowledge them a little later. And I guess I was a little bit early, but we saw him go by once. He'll be by again.
First responders, community. Well, no, Jack wrote this.
Okay.
So,
All right. Okay.
so he's got this.
Welcome to the.
Welcome to the 3rd annual. We finished phase 2.
Thank you again to the Georgetown High School Eagle Marching Band. I'll make this announcement now, and I'll make it again later. For any of you that do have animals with you, particularly dogs, at the end of our ceremony today, there is a cannon that will fire 3 times. Please be aware of that.
We are not going to have the rifle volley. Oh, thanks.
Oh, we're not?
No.
Okay.
But we'll still have the tanks, or the cannon fire.
Right, okay.
And so, can you put this on for me? It just fell off. Dankeschön.
I just got my button sling,
What happened?
but I blamed it on you.
What happened?
The mayor thought he was here to welcome people. He didn't think he was here to be after the speaker. So egos are involved, and I'm going to have him welcome people.
Okay. Use the back one first. It should.
Is that better to do it
Yeah.
that way? Wow.
And then bend it. There it works. You got it.
I didn't make them move.
No, no. For those of you that are seated right now in this area here, at the conclusion of our program today, immediately following taps, there will be 3 cannon fires, and that cannon is there, and they've asked that at that point in time, people clear this area from standing and sitting. I'll re-announce that, but it's nice to know now. Well, when taps is finished, the cannon's going to fire 3 times. I will do that again. I'll do that again. Thank you to the Eagle Band under the direction of Justin Smith and Brett Poteet. Let's give them a hand. They're not done yet. We should be 2 minutes from the flyover. Look to the skies as our first flyover, the Devil Dog. Give him a hand. It is my understanding the Devil Dog will make 2 additional flyovers, and about the time the second one ends, the Patriot Guard on their motorcycles will be riding up, parking their motorcycles along along Chamber Way, and they'll be bringing in the 27 historical flags. When all that begins to take place, then we'll begin our parade of flags. Just trying to keep you informed of the order of service today and what we're trying to do and accomplish. Making the turn and coming back. For many in World War II, this was the sound of freedom. And following that war, the sound of liberation. Now listen for the sound of the Patriot Guard with their flags, the motorcycles, another one of our great traditions in this country. Here comes the third and final flyover, coming in from the south. Thank each of you for observing that. In about 3 or 4 minutes, we'll begin the rest of our program as the Patriots Guard steps off of their motorcycles and begins to gather flags that are displayed behind the screen. Following that, we will begin our parade of sponsors and special guests. Those sponsors and special guests, if you would like to move back into the tent at this time, this is the appropriate time. Once they've moved, there may be a few extra seats in and under the tent, but you're welcome to see the sponsors and our special guests at this time. I apologize. I'm trying to do a lot of things right now. It's also appropriate at this time for us to recognize Manitex. Manitex company that provided the flag that you see on Austin Avenue flying high and above the street. With those of you that are standing real close to the tent on both of these lines, would you either please sit or move a little further to the side so that people under the tent can see the parade of flags? That'd be on both sides. If you could move back and or be seated on the ground, it would be greatly appreciated. And it's great to see the big crowd. That's the wonderful part of this, is we got a really big crowd. But we do want our special guests and our sponsors to be able to view the parade of flags. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. If I could ask y'all to be seated here in the tent, that would be great. Lieutenant Colonel Rye put a little bit into the script, and I think he looked at your bio. Yeah. Our Austin Regional Patriot Guard riders are led by Deputy State Captain Mark Wells. The Patriot Guard will be assembling soon. go get Sullivan, Nero, Valerie to come in and be seated. Yeah. Seating is available in the tent if some of you would like to join us here. That's fine. No, you can't take my script down. I'm sorry. You can't take that. again, a thank you to the Georgetown Eagle High School Band. And our Patriot Guard, are you ready? Under the leadership of Captain Wells. You go ahead and try to find your seats here in the tent. Here comes now the Patriot Guard. As we begin this solemn time together, what a great way to show respect and to honor our veterans and first responders in our community. You'll see that they are carrying the historic flags of America. As they continue to process to the other end of the field, I want to make a couple of comments real quickly. We are being broadcast live today by fellow Rotarian Rob Hipp. And I do want to mention to all of you that what you see in front of you today on a beautiful day was not so pretty on Friday. Do you remember Friday's weather? On Friday, the Rotary Club, volunteers, the fire department, and the police department assembled this flag field of more than 1,500 flags during a pretty rotten weather day. They deserve your thanks. Now officially, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen and distinguished guests. I'm Ron Garland, and it's my honor to be privileged to be your MC for today's opening ceremony of the Field of Honor. On behalf of the Rotary Club of Georgetown, our generous sponsors, and many volunteers, we are pleased that you have taken the time to join us for this solemn occasion in honor of all veterans and first responders. The ceremony provides an opportunity to reflect on the patriotic and selfless sacrifices of our veterans and first responders who have served and continue serving with great honor. It's my privilege to recognize people that are with us today under the tent and maybe out in the audience as well. Beginning with, from our county, we have Valerie Covey, Commissioner, District 3. We have with us today our Honorable Mayor Dale Ross, his wife Mickey, our City Manager David Morgan, our Chief of Police Wayne Nero, our Fire Chief John Sullivan. We have one of our elected judges with us, Brandy Halford. Brandy, wave your hand and say hello. I'm looking under the audience, over the audience in the tent, and don't see any other distinguished citizens that are elected. But if I've missed you, please acknowledge me at the end and I'll correct it. Who have I missed? Who did I miss? Oh, Will and Lynn Chapman. Would you please stand? For those of you not aware of it, yesterday morning, Sertoma sponsored a walk here to honor veterans. They've now named that walk the Nathan Chapman Walk. For those of you that have not been made aware of it, Nathan Chapman was the first casualty, American casualty in Afghanistan, and we certainly honor that family. There are a few people I need to recognize for putting this entire week-long event together. First of all, the chairman of this event, Jeannie Cox. Jeannie, please stand and be recognized. Her entire committee have worked diligently and hard for months. Also like to thank the 1st Cav Division Band from Fort Hood, who will bring military flair to our ceremony. But as you all know, a project of this magnitude can only be accomplished with the help of this amazing community. The Rotary Club of Georgetown recognizes that none of this would be possible without the support of our presenting sponsor, Sports Clips, and Don Hewlett Chevrolet Buick, and all of our other generous sponsors, the City of Georgetown, hardworking affiliates, and tireless volunteers. You can look above you here in the tent and see a list of all of our sponsors, and I would acknowledge that you should do that before you leave. Throughout history, our residents have answered the call to duty in every conflict from World War II through today. Our first responders continue to serve our community daily, constantly putting the needs of the community first, and today we honor them. In front of you today are a field full of American flags. Each one is dedicated to a man or a woman, a mother or a father, a son or a daughter that has ties to this community. But this service to our communities and our country has not gone without sacrifice by their families. One can only guess the number of family members in our community whose lives were touched by our heroes. The common denomination is remembering. The memories of our family members that served in the armed forces and as first responders bring a sound foundation to the history, the education, and the pride of our community. These men and women served and are serving to ensure our freedoms and to protect us. It is our duty to remember these brave servants of our society so that others who visit can be proud of the commitment they made to sustain the liberty that our founders provided for us. Today before you is a symbol of historical fact that our community shows the highest respect and honor to our veterans and first responders, those of past, present, and future, a sacred ground for those we respect and honor. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the invocation, which will be given by Lieutenant Colonel Jim Rye from the 1st Cav Division at Fort Hood. Colonel Rye.
Ladies and gentlemen, please bow your heads. By the grace of our Lord, we are here today to honor our veterans and first responders that have served our country and those that have given their lives so that we may stand here and live in freedom. Remembering those who have passed is only half of the task that is before us today. Lord, help protect our current military, first responders, and their families. Lord, watch over their families and loved ones as they stand by them and support them daily. Lord, help us also to carry their love, honor, and duty forward to the future generations. Help our children to know who they were, what they did, and why they did it. As the flags fly, Lord, help us to take their memories, take their dreams, and walk forward shouldering their cause, carrying it high and proud as each first responder and veteran has done. And Lord, be by our side as we walk forward with them, and for our children. In his holy name, amen.
Thank you, Colonel Rye, and you may be seated. And you'll notice that Colonel Rye is headed out towards the parade. He's given a certain sense of direction for all of us today, and we greatly respect what he is and what he does. On Veterans Day, we honor every man and woman who's ever worn the uniform of our nation, those who selfishly secured America's promise throughout our history. That same history teaches us that security doesn't just happen. It demands effort, sacrifice, courage, and commitment, which is why we take this opportunity to also honor our first responders, those men and women that demonstrate the sacrifice, courage, and commitment in our communities every day. But it requires generations of men and women willing to do extraordinary acts for people they never knew and for people they've never met. Today we salute the service of all veterans and first responders, and we keep in our thoughts and prayers the fallen, the missing, and those who right now are serving in harm's way. We also remember that honoring those who served isn't just about what we say here today. It's about how we honor our veterans and first responders every day of the year. It's remaining committed to supporting them and their families in every way that we possibly can. It's about serving them as well as they've served us and continue to serve our community and our nation. What you are about to see is just a small representation of the many different organizations that honor our veterans and first responders. You may remain seated until the final two flags are brought forward. That would be the final American flag and the Texas flag. We begin our movement with the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, American Heritage Girls. As you all know, our children are our future. And for many years, scouting programs have instilled values that help youth develop academic skills, self-confidence, ethics, leadership skills, and citizenship skills that influence their adult lives. Today, we have members of the American Heritage Girls 1045, Boy Scout Troop 155, and Miss Preteen Texas Galaxy Chloe Schiff holding their flags high and demonstrating their commitment to God, country, and our future. Our first responders, consisting of firefighters, emergency medical technicians, and law enforcement, are on the front lines of our community. They've witnessed tragedy, heartbreak, helplessness, and disbelief. They show up in the face of danger and natural disaster because they are committed to serving others. We honor them today and every day as they tirelessly serve our communities. Today we have members from the Georgetown Police Department, Georgetown Fire Department, Sheriff Department, EMS teams representing all of our first responders currently protecting America's communities. Canine teams. Canine teams. We cannot forget to also honor and remember our four-legged responders that provide dedicated and enhanced service to our men and women. Today we have members from the Williamson County Sheriff's Department and the Canine Crew. But I also want to mention we added one additional area of flags this year for heroes, and it's right over here, and it's the Canine group. And you can see people have honored their canine. But we cannot forget the families of our veterans. Gold Star and Blue Star mothers. They are mothers, stepmothers, grandmothers, foster mothers, and female legal guardians who have children serving in the military guard or reserves or children who are veterans. They support each other and our children while promoting patriotism. These organizations focus on supporting the families of our veterans every single day and will never forsake our troops, our veterans, or the families of our fallen heroes. We also have to acknowledge and remember that preserving, documenting, and sharing our history is key to remembering our veterans and first responders. And today we have the Veterans of Foreign War and the American Legion. The Veterans of Foreign War has a rich tradition in enhancing the lives of millions through its community service programs and special projects. From providing free phone cards to our nation's active duty military personnel to raising money for the World War II Memorial, the VFW, the American Legion, is there. Daughters of the American Revolution, the DAR was founded in 1890 and is a nonprofit, non-political, female lineage women's service organization dedicated to promoting patriotism, preserving American history, and securing America's future through better education for children. The Sons of the American Revolution is a congressionally chartered premier male lineage society with more than 208,000 members admitted since being founded in 1889. The members are intensely devoted to serving the communities they hail from across all 50 states and in 5 countries abroad. The Civil Air Patrol's formation during the earliest days of World War II, this vigilant organization of citizen airmen has been committed to service to America, founded in 1941 to mobilize the nation's civilian aviation resources for national defense service. The Civil Air Patrol has evolved into a premier public service organization that still carries out emergency service missions when needed, in the air and on the ground. Today we have members from Georgetown and Austin representing all 60,000 members operating in over 1,500 communities nationwide. The Military Order of the Purple Heart, and we are the first Purple Heart city in Texas. The Military Order of the Purple Heart is unique, and its members are exclusively men and women who have received the Purple Heart Award while serving as a member of the U.S. military. Their mission is to foster an environment of goodwill and camaraderie among combat-wounded veterans, promote patriotism, support necessary legislative initiatives, and most importantly, provide service to all veterans and their families. Carrying the Purple Heart and Prisoner of War Missing in Action flag are members from the Georgetown and Austin, reminding us that some gave all gave some, and the sacrifices that are made by our service men and women. Our military service flags are representative of our country's rich history and the struggles which have been undertaken to protect the nation and the people. Each flag is unique and was carefully designed to demonstrate the strength and unity of each service. But the true strength of our military is the people who make up the ranks. The tradition of playing bagpipes and drums during ceremonies is a tradition that was brought over from the forefathers of Celtic descent to honor the fallen of men and women who died while conducting the most dangerous and difficult jobs. Today, the bagpipes and drums are being played by the Georgetown Fire Department to remember all of our military and first responders that paid the ultimate sacrifice. Now please rise as our national colors come forward. Marine Corps veteran Daniel Dance and Army veteran Elizabeth McFarland, a graduate of the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, are moving forward to post our nation's colors and our state flag. The American flag is the most recognizable flag in the world and has been modified 27 times, but the meaning has never changed. 13 equal horizontal stripes of red, alternating with white, representing the original 13 British colonies. The blue rectangle in the canton bearing 50 small, white, 5-pointed stars arranged in 9 offset horizontal rows representing each state in the United States. But the true meaning is the pride. Pride in our nation, pride in our people, and pride in our communities. Please remove your hats, place a hand over your heart, a salute, and join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance, and remain standing during the playing of the national anthem. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and be seated. Please take your seats once again. Before she slips away, I want to acknowledge two other people very quickly. Elizabeth McFarland is also an elected school board member of the school board of the city of Georgetown. And we thanked Jeannie a while ago for this activity, but we also need to recognize our current president of the Rotary Club of Georgetown, George Lorigan. George, please stand or wave. His continued leadership and commitment to this project is fantastic. It is now my privilege to introduce our mayor, who's going to provide for us some remarks and welcome from the city of Georgetown. Please welcome Mayor Dale Ross. Dale.
It's a great day to be in Georgetown, like it is each and every day. Those that live here can vouch for that. I do have some brief remarks about this very, very special day today. You know, this is a privilege to welcome all of y'all to the third annual Field of Honor in Georgetown, Texas. Tremendous honor to host this event in our beautiful city and in our outstanding park, San Gabriel Park, here today. We do have some dust flying in the park. We just completed phase 2 of the renovation of a 4-phase renovation of the park. Phase 3 is going to be under design in 2020, and construction will begin in 2021. We just got through adding 2 new playgrounds, some pavilions, new restrooms. We reworked a couple of springs, and we have some trail improvements. You know, the Field of Honor is a signature event for our community. First responders in Georgetown were the direct beneficiaries of previous Fields of Honor. In fact, our police department and fire department received $6,000 each. Again, $6,000 for each agency because of this wonderful event here. And that allowed them to get the protective gear that they really need over there. As a community, this is home to a number of veterans and active duty military. We work hard to know that we value and thank them for their service and dedication. In the summer of 2013, City Council worked with the Military Order of the Purple Heart to designate the city of Georgetown as the first Purple Heart city in the state of Texas. In addition, Williamson County is now a first Purple Heart county as well. I can't hear it. Okay, there you go. There you go. And through these small reminders, the city hopes to inspire continued goodwill and respect for the many veterans who call Georgetown home. Thank you for all for being here. I look forward to visiting the Field of Honor several times before November 17th. Please be sure to reserve a flag or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, Jeannie. I mean, there's no limit, right? You can just as many as you want. And to support this tremendous cause. And please bring your family and friends out here. It's a really special event. And also, like Ron was talking about, this year you can reserve a flag for a canine flag to honor service dogs, and it's also a great way to honor not only the canine dogs, but also their handlers. Now, my wife is here today, Mickey, and she's the executive director of the Williamson History Museum, and she's going to be bringing a lot of youngsters out here to learn about the military and the flags and all the things that we want to celebrate today. But there'll be over 1,200 GISD students that come out here to see the flags. And again, thank you for being here. Thanks to our veterans, active duty military, and first responders for the tremendous sacrifices they make us loud so that we can live in the great city of Georgetown, the great state of Texas, and the greatest country on the face of earth, the United States of America. God bless each and every one of you.
Thank you, Mayor Ross. He mentioned something very, very important, and I want to bring some statistics to you. You see on the flag field today more than 1,500 flags. Here's where we were at the beginning of the day today. 1,100 new flags had been purchased this year. In excess of 150 repost flags had been reposted by the end of yesterday. If my math is good, That says there are still in excess of 300 flags available to honor a hero or a first responder, and that can be done after our ceremony. We had another special guest just arrive, and I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize him because he's not only become a friend, but he represents our military in so many, many ways. That's our state representative from our district, Terry Wilson. Terry, please stand, wave to the audience. We're glad you're here. As I'm reminded, which I knew, Terry is a retired colonel. It is now my privilege to introduce our guest speaker, Major General Patrick Hamilton. Major General Hamilton is currently the division commander of the 36th Infantry Division, Texas National Guard. Throughout his 30-plus years of service, Major General Hamilton has held numerous leadership positions stateside as well as in joint assignments. As we visited earlier today, there were two things that became apparent to me. First, and most important, is his family is celebrating the 80th birthday of a mother today, but General Patterson is with us. But he says everything's under control and they're all going back to the airport and everybody's taken care of. The second thing that really struck me is Major General Hamilton is a member of the Round Rock Noon Rotary Club. Please welcome Major General Patrick Hamilton.
Make sure you hold the mic close.
I got it. Thank you. Well, thank you so much. What a great day. And it turned out to be a beautiful day because earlier this week I was a little concerned. It was looking a little skosh out there. Again, thank you so much for the opportunity to come here to this great community that shows its appreciation for our veterans every day. As I said, I command the 36th Infantry Division of the Texas Army National Guard. There are 18 combat divisions in the United States Army. 10 of them are in the active component, and 8 of them are in the National Guard. We serve alongside our brothers in the 1st Cav Division. I'd like to recognize those great soldiers who are out there right now with the displays. And if you think about the state of Texas and just the spirit of the citizens of Texas, 3 of the 18 combat divisions, that is the point of the spear of these great United States, reside in the state of Texas, with the 1st Armored Division in El Paso, the 1st Cavalry Division at Fort Hood, and the 36th Infantry Division that's all over the state of Texas in the Texas National Guard. So if it wasn't for Texas, we'd be a much weaker United States Army. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the patriotism that drives the recognition of this Veterans Day, and it goes to the history of the 36th Infantry Division. This division is one of the oldest divisions of the United States Army. A lot of people didn't know that. It was formed in 1917, prior to World War I, and the division, it was formed from units in Texas and Oklahoma, and it was originally called the Panther Division and had a big black panther in the crest. But a very short time after that, the soldiers got together and said, that really doesn't represent Texas and Oklahoma, and so they took an arrowhead from Oklahoma and a T for Texas and made the T patch or the arrowhead patch that you recognize today. And the color blue is for infantry. Oh, by the way, I've got to tell Terry Wilson, he was Fish Wilson when Senior Hamilton was in the Corps Cadets at A&M. So Fish Wilson, you done good, brother. But in World War I, the 36th Infantry Division was deployed over to the Meuse-Argonne offensive from these great citizen soldiers from Texas and Oklahoma. They became under the command of General John Blackjack Pershing. The 2nd Infantry Division was in the line and had fought to a stalemate and were in trench warfare, and it just got to where it was just back and forth with artillery, and they'd been depleted significantly. The 36th Division relieved the 2nd Infantry Division in the line and began the attack on the 9th of October, 1918. In the first day of the attack, they pushed the Germans back 15 miles. First time that had been done, suffering 1,500 casualties. the most casualties of any U.S. division in a single day in World War I, and earned 2 Medals of Honor. That's the kind of soldiers that we have in this great state of Texas. The kind of military people who serve in Texas, our veterans, come from that lineage, baptized by blood in Saint Etienne in the Meuse-Argonne in France. Later on, the 36th Division was reformed for the Louisiana maneuvers in 1940, knowing that we were going to enter World War II. The division, once again, almost all Texas National Guardsmen, citizens of the great state of Texas, and many of them from right here in Georgetown, were mobilized, deployed to Africa under General Fred Walker to complete its training and prepare for Operation Avalanche, which was the first Allied landings onto the European continent in World War II and set the stage for D-Day 10 months later. They attacked the 36th Division, were the first combat division onto the shores at Salerno to land on the mainland of Europe. They fought in Salerno, San Pietro, the bloody tragedy at Rapido, the Rapido River operation, into Anzio, Monte Cassino, then into Anzio. They were surrounded in Anzio and broke out 2 days before D-Day and cleared the road to Rome, which opened up the offensive that ended up liberating all of Italy. Those were our Texas soldiers. They lost more soldiers in that offensive in Italy. They almost completely replaced the entire 16,000-man division with casualties, but earned 14 Medals of Honor, more than any division in the United States Army. Those are our Texas citizens. That's what we do. Those are the veterans, and that's our lineage. So the 36th Division continues to serve today. One of my mentors, the 36th Division was deactivated. 49th Armored Division stood up for the Cold War. Again, our soldiers in Texas, our citizen soldiers continue to serve our state and nation. General Bob Halverson, a great friend of mine and a citizen of Georgetown, commanded the 49th Armored Division and took the division to Bosnia. He was the commander of the 1st National Guard Division to actually take command of active duty and multinational troops in the Balkans in 2000, and it was a great privilege to serve under him, and that really set the stage for where we are with our National Guard divisions as a equal partner of the combat divisions in the United States Army and part of the operational force. And since that time, in 2004, when they stood down the 49th Armored Division and reestablished the old 36th Infantry Division, the division has commanded troops and fought in Iraq, in Afghanistan, the Horn of Africa, and Egypt, and we'll go again. I'll be taking the division over to the Middle East next fall to once again defend our freedoms overseas. One other thing that's unique about our citizen soldiers and those who serve, when they came back from Afghanistan, this little thing called Hurricane Harvey decided to bless us with its presence. And all 16,000 members of the Texas Army, or the 36th Infantry Division, and all of the Texas Army National Guard went to the sound of the guns and provided relief operations and supported our outstanding first responders in an area 300 miles by 100 miles, and it was one of the finest relief efforts that we have ever seen in the state of Texas or in the United States. So very quickly, why the history lesson, why the discussion about all this service? What makes our veterans and our first responders so critical to our community and our nation? Why are they so revered within our culture? And I think it goes back to the oath that we all swear, the oath that has been sworn by every member of the United States military since the beginning of our republic. It is an oath not to a flag or the country or a president or a general. It is an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. The Constitution, the single document that guarantees our freedoms and our rights to be here today, and it guarantees that we will be judged by our depth of character and we will succeed or fail by our competence and level of effort alone, and there is no other country in the world that has freedoms that guarantee those things. And that is why we recognize our veterans. They all swore that oath, and part of that oath is that they are willing to put their lives on the line for all of us. And that goes for our first responders as well, who do it every single day in our community. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. Go thank a veteran. Thanks to the city of Georgetown for your great patriotic service and recognizing our veterans and our first responders. And God bless the great state of Texas, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Once again, recognize our presenting sponsors, Sport Clipson.
General Patterson, thank you so much for those words. I'm sorry, Hamilton. See, I got kind of excited there for a minute. An MC's got a right to make a couple of mistakes. That's just one. Because I had my eyes focused on one word, and that was skosh. We both talked about weather, but skosh probably fit Friday better than what my description of Friday's weather fit. But the last thing, General Hamilton, when this is all over, I want to talk to you about Fish Wilson. There's some things we need to find out. In recognizing our military leadership, I overlooked two others that I want to take a moment to say thank you to for their respective responsibilities. And that would be Major Glemboski, who heads the Civil Air Patrol. Would you stand and be recognized for this area? And we all know and love in our own community Major General Bob Halverson. Bob, would you stand and be recognized? Would also be remiss if I didn't re-mention our two premier sponsors, Sports Clips and Don Hewlett Chevrolet. A military ceremony always concludes, in many instances, with taps. I want to remind everyone about two things. After taps is played, there will be 3 cannon volleys. So if you have a dog or another pet, please be prepared for 3 cannon volleys about 30 seconds apart. And I believe that they are moving some of the folks out of their firing line out here as we speak. So with that, it is time for us to begin that solemnity ceremony with taps. The First Cav Band. The 21 gun salute was by the Round Rock Police Department. Be prepared for number 2. Yeah, I got some close. As they prepare for number 3, I would remind each of you to look at the static displays and all the military equipment that we've been able to visualize and see today. May God forever watch over them and protect them and their families. In closing, I would like to remind you all that the field remains open all week. You have programs that outlines programs of the day. There will be a flag retirement ceremony each and every day. That means continuing to display a flag that can no longer be flown. Those will happen. And please remember to be respectful as you walk among the flags of our heroes. This concludes today's ceremony. Thank you for attending.